most sheriffs believe they're not that powerful, but they certainly are, I think.
Well, I agree, and of course they arbitrarily through the Patriot Acts 1 and 2 nullified, for all intents and purposes, the posse comitatus, and what that said in law was that federal troops could not be used within the continental United States on duty against the American people. And of course, they've usurped that under these Patriot Acts. So if we were to have a change in government with lots of new people in the House and in the Senate, then one of the first things we would do is try to do away with Patriot Acts 1 and 2, the Federal Reserve, executive orders, campaign contributions, lobbying, you name it, we can change it. But it's the last chance. It is the last chance. And if it doesn't happen in America, the whole world's going to blow up.
Well, Lord Monckton put it quite succinctly when he said that America is a beacon. You are a beacon of freedom. And I've always loved the American culture for that very reason. And I think it could well be the last, the stage for the Last Chance Saloon. It's a country built on freedom, on the very values of freedom, and they take I remember growing up, Americans used to take their Constitution a lot more seriously, and it was a source of great pride to them. But I don't see that now. It seems to have been TV'd and Hollywooded out of them.
Well, I think it's a result of education over the past almost 100 years in America that has not really taught the Constitution, the law. Young people are not exposed to the things that they should be, and consequently they're ignorant of them. And it not only happens in conjunction with the Constitution, but also it happens in society in general, where someone will study to be a doctor or an engineer or an attorney or an automobile mechanic, whatever it is. They don't get much out of that field. I mean, they learn what they need to learn to be very proficient professionals. And the rest of their education is left to chance. And I know in school, whether it's in university or otherwise, you have a course in this and a course in that, and they just kind of slough over what you need to know, a smattering, if you may. And I think, particularly in respect to a constitution or the laws that apply within your land, should be very important to you. And of course, they're not because of this lack of teaching.
Well, we know that the education system was always designed to be an indoctrination system, so it's no surprise that people's values of freedom have been dissolved in a way, melted. Professor Carol Quigley talks about destroying the middle classes by using education and manipulating the masses, as the elite like to call us, the cattle, into their global system. So in the education system, I feel that I can see that students are taught about a one world paradise, everything being green and saving the planet and sacrificing their way of life into a kind of new neo-feudalism, really, where so you can see how the Constitution appears as unimportant, not as important, with the mass indoctrination that's going on in school. Kids just want to come home and blame their mother for killing the planet because she's had an extra bath this week, with green police and reporting on what's in their medical cabinet back to the teacher. It's a complete indoctrination system.
And that's true at all levels, of the social component, which are the poor, the near poor, the middle class, the upper middle class, and even among the wealthy, whose children normally would go to better quality schools. They don't get much more. And so maybe their work is more intensive, but they don't get more of a choice. And one of the things that bears that out is the school system in America today. They have these tests, and everybody in the state has to take them. Each state has their own set of tests. And that's all they teach is how to pass these tests, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean,
I know lots about that. My daughter's a teacher.
Right. Getting back to the debt, I'm kind of swinging from different points and back and forth. Forgive me, but talking about the debt system that enslaves us, it is a complete global scientific enslavement. But debt is one of the main weapons, and soon it will be food. Very soon, I'm sure, it will be food used as a weapon. But the debt question, I mean, can countries, once they get decent people in power, with some semblance of conscience, can each country's debt simply be wiped? Can the candidates run? I mean, you could have candidates running as debt squashers, you know?
Well, I think we're headed in
canceling the debt.
I think we're headed in that direction anyway, and it's a direction which the people behind the scenes want to go because they want to bust everybody. And you know how you solve this problem right now is very simple. Let's take the PIIGS, the pigs as they're called in Europe, and we have Portugal, Ireland, Italy, Spain, and Greece. And they're all broke.
The whipping boy at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, the whipping boy. That's why I spent so much time on radio and television there. I want to give these people hope. And what Greece has got to do is this, and I know it's going to be painful to the countries that own the debt of Greece as well as the banks. But the loans should have never been made in the first place.
Yeah.
They were made for spurious reasons, and any conscientious government or banker should have never made those loans in the first place.
On money that never existed in the first place.
That's right. And so what I have told the Greek people, in fact, I've been asked a number of times, what would you do if you were PM? And I said, it's very simple. Default on the debt, number one. Number two, leave the euro. Number three, create the drachma. Number four, clean up your act.
Yeah.
You got to start taxing the rich. You got to get rid of all these people who work in the government doing nothing. You got to make people retire at 65 or 70 years old. I mean, the best years of any man or woman's life in business or in life or in teaching or whatever it is their years between 55 and 70.
Well, they have all the
We can't have people retiring at 50 years old. It's asinine. So anyway, if they can clean their act up, you got to look at the other side of the program. First of all, Greece is going to be very competitive. Not that they're the world's greatest exporter, but they could develop things. So they're going to have a very cheap currency. That's number one. They'll have tourism come out of their ears. Second of all, and just as important, the banks are going to go under. And the governments are going to have to eat the debt. And countries like Germany, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, and even Austria and Italy are going to take a terrible beating because they're on the other side of the loan. And I think what the other pig should do is default as well. And that would bring down the euro, which is an unnatural currency.
And nobody would owe anything.
And everybody could go back to what they were doing. Everybody could go back to what they were doing before. And maybe the bankers would learn a lesson to stop screwing the people.
Yeah, they've pushed us too far already.
And that's the message I've given to Greece over the last just a little over 2 months.
Yeah.
And another thing, too, is the president, Papandreou, of Greece, is a member of the Bilderberger Group.